If you have a penis, maybe you've tried to measure it at least once. If I had a penis, I'd probably measure it too.
Bruh.
Most penis owners typically measure their penis probably in the erect state. Problem is, in medicine, we aren't usually measuring your penis in the erect state. Hey YouTube fam, it's your girl, Dr. Fenwa Milhouse, board certified urologist, your favorite urologist, Dr. Down Below, and co-founder, co-CEO of Down There Urology here in Chicago. I'm actually in my office in Chicago, and I'm doing this video to show you how to properly measure your penis. All right. If you have a penis, maybe you've tried to measure it at least once. Maybe you've done it multiple times and you get in different measurements and you're like, what's the deal? Measuring your penis is a thing that a lot of penis owners do. If I had a penis, I'd probably measure it too. And what we find in medicine and urology is that patient-reported penile size and clinician measured penile size are two different things. Most penis owners typically measure their penis probably in the erect state. And that makes a lot of sense. That's the state that probably matters most to them. Problem is, in medicine, we aren't usually measuring your penis in the erect state. And that's because in order to get you to the erect state, we have to medically induce it. And that requires a penile injection. We would prefer to measure in a non-invasive way as possible. The other thing is that your erection in an office setting may not represent your full erection in an actual non-clinical real life setting. Meaning you might not be fully erect. We can get a lot of different measurements. So instead, we prefer to use something called stretched penile length or stretched flaccid length. That's easier to do, don't require a medically induced erection, and it can be reproduced on any penis at any time, non-invasive. Now, stretched flaccid length is subject to its own limitations. Number one, how much or how little you stretch is subjective. And so, do you stretch as tight as you can or do you barely stretch? And that can lead to some variability in what people get on the same exact penis. The other thing is the position that your penis is in when you're getting measured. Standing versus laying down may have different measurements, especially if you have a lot of fat above your pubic bone that shifts depending on your position. The other thing that might vary our measurements is even in the flaccid state, the penile length can change. You know this, the penis is dynamic. Depending on the temperature, your penis might be longer. If the room is warm and comfortable, your penis will probably measure longer. If the room is more frigid and cold, the penis is probably going to measure shorter. And lastly, even though we try to use stretched penile length to approximate what your length is erect, we know that it can underestimate erect length by up to 20%. But nonetheless, if you look at the medical literature, you're most likely going to see stretched penile length used and reported. So let's talk about how you do that measurement and also measure your girth. So you need two things to do this. Your penis, which I'm going to use this to represent your penis, and something to measure it. Preferably, I like to use a flexible measuring tape like this, one that you would use to get sized for a new suit or garment. You can use a flexible semi-rigid ruler, but if you want to also get a good girth measurement, circumference, this is way easier to do. So when you are measuring your stretched penile length, you want to measure from bone to tip. What does that mean? You don't just want to measure from where you see the penile shaft start on the skin surface. You want to actually feel for the pubic bone. That's the bone that sits right above your penis, okay? Obviously, I don't have a penis, but if I did, this was my penis, I would want to measure all the way from where I feel my pubic bone to tip, okay? And tip is the tip of the glands, all right? Not the end of the shaft, but where the actual tip ends of the head of the penis, bone to tip. You do this on a stretch. It does not need to be a painful stretch, but it shouldn't be just pulled out without any stretch, all right? So some level of stretch, this is where you get the variability, and you measure bone, pubic bone to tip of the glands, all right? We typically measure in centimeters. So metric system is what the medical literature almost always uses, and what majority of the rest of the world uses if you are not in the United States. But if you like inches, you can just get you a measuring tape that has both recorded, or you can simply convert it. If you're going to measure girth, again, most reported girth measurements are probably going to be reported as flaccid girth. You can measure your erect girth, but if you're going to do an erect anything measurement, make sure it's fully erect. My model, we're going to pretend, is flaccid, and you want to measure mid-shaft, so middle of the shaft, and take your flexible measuring tape around and lay it nicely, not too tight. You shouldn't be trying to create a waist, okay? But it shouldn't be loose, all right? You don't want it to be loose either, all right? It should kind of lay very nicely, very comfortably on your penis, and then you would get your measurement, all right? Mid-shaft, nicely lay it around your penis to get the circumference or the girth. And that's it. That's how you get the best measurement that we use in clinical studies. Let me know what you think. I'd love to read your comments. Like this video. Make sure you share it with another penis owner, share it with a friend. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can get all things down there right here. And if you really want my eyes on your case, don't hesitate to book a consultation with me using the first link below. Come to Chicago. It's about to be warm. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Or you can see me virtually. Take care. Bye-bye.